Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Bonjour. Buongiorno.
Est-ce que je peux alors WC, s'il vous plaît?
9?
Yeah, I got told that a lot too.
I actually have no idea what you said.
Can I use the bathroom?
Oh.
That's all I remember from my French class.
Well, then my answer stands. You should have gone before we started.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. So I know we promised more Avatar-based content and or spooky stuff that we were going to get to, but
Stuff happens.
Les Mis was in town, and
we went.
you gotta
And it was
go.
awesome. Yeah. When Les Mis is in town, you gotta go.
Right.
It's
one of those things. It's when the opportunity strikes, you take it.
Yeah, and if you miss it and you don't go, you're just going to regret it for the rest of your life.
And your life will become meaningless and sad and terrible, and you're just going to be like down this downward spiral, and you just end up killing yourself.
And even if they come back to town later on, you're going to just still thinking about the last time that you could have seen it, and you didn't.
I know.
Yeah.
It's going to leave a hole in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want to have a hole in our souls. Well, I mean, I kind of don't have one, but she does. So.
Oh, that's giving me a lot of credit. Thank you.
So we didn't want a hole in her soul and a hole where my soul should be. So we went to the theater and saw Les Misérables at the William Saroyan Center here in Fresno, and it was epic!
It was so good.
Yes.
So good. But first, introductions out of the way. Welcome to Discussions with Davis.
Hi, I'm Davis. How are you?
I'm Beth. Just Beth. So we thought today we'd discuss the one we saw. We saw it yesterday. And I've had songs from it stuck in my head ever since. But
oh yes.
We have several different versions owned personally that we thought we'd talk about. The different ones we've seen, which ones we liked, which ones we didn't like, the good points, the bad points, just everything Les Mis tonight.
As much as we can cram into about the next hour and a half. See how we go.
See how it goes, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, and that said, a good production is going to run about 3 hours.
Yeah, with the about 15-20 minute intermission, this was the one we went to was almost exactly 3 hours.
I mean, starting at the original version, which would be the book,
which
if you skip a few of the unnecessary parts, the paperback version that I read, you're still looking at about 1,200 pages of text there.
Oh, no, more than that.
Well, the paperback was 14, and I skipped a few things. It was just like a whole chapter on slang, various slang used by people.
Slang, the sewer systems in Paris.
Street lights,
it's like in order to have a classic book, that's defined as classic, the classics, Moby Dick, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, it just has to have lots of words in it.
They have lots of words in it. Sometimes they're overly wordy, and I was thinking about this. It's like it's easy to scoff at it, but what it does is create a whole world, much the same way as Tolkien is probably the king of world building.
Yeah, but even Tolkien knew when to draw the line.
When to get on with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a fine balance between building the world and not losing your reader because you're not starting the story.
Yes, Hunchback of Notre Dame is a good example of just getting lost in the details and not getting on with it. I haven't finished that one yet. I gotta finish that one.
But
great works on Spotify. Find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's free and it's great works.
And it's Victor Hugo as well.
And it's Victor Hugo. I mean, they've also got many of the Alexander Dumas. I saw some Dostoevsky in there. Dumas or Dumas? Is the S silent?
Usually in French, the S is silent.
Okay, because I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways.
I
don't know. Redneck from Fresno, what do you want? They didn't teach us this in school. I went to public school. And but great works on Spotify. look them up. You'll be glad you did. And it's free. So
Public domain.
What's the excuse?
What's not to love?
What's the excuse?
But anyway, I first got turned on to Les Mis. I think before you and I started dating.
That sounds right, because...
Or right around the time you and I started dating, which was 13 years ago.
Many years ago.
13 years ago. So probably 13, 15 years ago, I got turned on to Les Mis.
And you were actually my introduction to it, so
yeah.
It had to be.
So, yeah, and the reason I checked it out is because I was living with my brother at the time, and his best friend at the time was a huge Les Mis fan. He was just Chuckles. And he loved Les Mis, always talking about Les Mis. And my brother would say every time he goes over to visit him at his friend's house, he'd be knocking on the door and you could hear it playing. It's like my brother hates Les Mis because of all the times he had to listen to it while hanging out with his friend.
Well, Aaron's just not a big fan of musicals in general, I think.
Yeah. But so I was curious. I checked it out. I was at Rasputin's, which is a used music store.
Well,
or it was at the time.
It is. Now it's
it was new and used music
back then. It was new and used, yeah.
And I was going through the cassette tape section because I had been given my grandma's car, which had a cassette player. So I went there to find some cassettes.
Cassettio tapes.
Yeah, cassettio tapes. I went there to find some cassettes to play in my car because I didn't have a CD player and I didn't have a portable one with the little
the adapter
thingy. So I was looking through the cassettes there, and they had a Les Mis, so I picked it up and I listened to it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. It's like I never didn't really see any of the play or hear any of the storyline before it. And so I was just trying to piece together bits of the story just from listening to the songs that were on these tapes. And it was like the abridged version, just the highlight reel basically of the musical.
Not so much the plot, just the songs.
Right. And not even all the songs, just like the more important popular songs.
Boy, that leaves a lot out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a two tape set, but it's like 4 or 5 songs per side. So you're getting like 20 songs, maybe tops.
Again, a good version is 3 hours, and cassette tapes, it's hard to find cassette tapes that are going to have that kind of playtime.
Yeah. So anyway, I liked the music. My favorite song was Master of the House. It was funny. It was silly. What's not to love?
The Thenardiers.
Yeah. But so I on a trip to Rasputin's again later on, I found the VHS of the Dreamcast, which was the 10-year anniversary.
Which right there.
Yeah, it's this one, but this is the actual tape I bought.
So you've had that all this time?
Yes.
Nice.
This is the one I got from Rasputin's like 13, 15 years ago, and it still works. It's fine.
Back in my day, stations were built to last.
Right. So I picked that up and I started watching it, and I was just fell in love. It's like this is a great show. This is a great story. And even though you got all the songs, you got them somewhat acting out because it wasn't really a play; it was a concert.
Yeah.
But they were in costume.
Not quite a play, not quite an opera concert.
But you can see the characters. See that Valjean in the beginning was also Monsieur le Maire, the same guy. So
yeah.
you don't get that through just listening to the audio.
No.
And first time I listened to the audio, I was like, man, this girl Cosette, they're like passing her around like currency. It's like they just, buying her off and stuff like that. So I didn't really know what was going on. But, once I saw my tape, I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty awesome. And I watched it like many, many times. I think I bought it for $1.
Dollar well spent.
Well spent.
Yeah, see, and culture is so, these great works are so affordably accessible. Mm-hmm. You could find audio tapes, you could find beats of it on YouTube. You can find great works on Spotify. You picked that up for $1. Mm-hmm. It's accessible, folks. It's more accessible than you think.
I think the cassette was like 50 cents
Hey, big spender.
Because, well, I mean, it was used cassettes. Who buys cassettes anymore? Nobody buys cassettes. So,
except for screwballs like me.
Yes. Well, you're building a library, so that makes sense. But
yeah, that's just to archive them. But for who uses them to actually use them, buys them to actually use them. It's like,
right.
Unless you're still rocking the 80s Camaro.
That probably has an 8-track in it.
Oh, you think?
Well, yeah.
I want an 80s Camaro now.
You didn't before?
I did. Yeah. Although preferably a Trans Am because Knight Rider.
Maybe Kip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it, and the Cylon thing in the hood.
So yeah, my poor brother, between his best friend and me, had to hear this.
There is no escape.
Yeah, it's like at his friend's house or at home, he was hearing this video, and but yeah, it was great. I fell in love with it, and
it really is a love at first tone kind of thing, because the characters draw you in. The characters are so developed and thought out and multi-dimensional, multifaceted, but also signifying some manner of virtue, some manner of morality in the way they play together. And the tangled web Hugo weaves throughout this, how each character has interacted with each other, whether they knew it or not.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you were trying to describe that to me, because I haven't read the book. I didn't have the patience to read this book. He did. And he was just telling me, it's like, man, subplots among subplots among subplots.
Oh my God. Nostalgia Critic's review of it, they were complaining, like, my God, this review is carrying more subplots than the movies. Well, you know what? Both of those pale in comparison to the book. I mean, right there with the Thenardiers. Okay, the Thenardiers are the slime balls you love to hate.
Yeah.
But they're also the comic relief, so you need them. They're a necessary evil because they come up.
I wouldn't really say they're evil. I'd just say they're despicable.
Yes,
they're not good people, but they're not like
villainous, but not evil.
Yeah.
Because you can't trust them at all.
Oh no.
Yeah, they'll rob you blind. And every version I've seen has a pretty good representation of that. The character designs are always good, because he tries his little. He's always got an army jacket. Yeah,
wasn't that given to him by Napoleon or one of Napoleon's soldiers or something like that?
No. Okay, when you first see Thenardier, he only has 2 kids, and he's with the Thenardiers, his wife, who I don't know if they ever use her actual name, but that's what she's referred to most often as, is the Thenardiers. And mostly because, Hugo really portrays her as just a beastly person. She's really rough with everyone, especially Cosette, except her kids, her 2 daughters.
Oh yeah, and they kind of showed that in the play we went to yesterday, because she's yelling at Cosette, she's barking orders, go out, get the water from the woods, and then Eponine comes prancing in. It's like, oh, don't you look so pretty in your little hat and blue dress? And she just puts her up on the table and is like praising her and all this stuff, and turns around and is like, you're still here, Cosette? I told you to go.
It's so rare to see a production actually include child Eponine. And this one, leaving things out and abridging things, that the Thenardiers actually had 3 kids. I meant to go look up the name of the third one, but she just kind of gets written out of every version, because even in the book, her role is very small. But Gavroche is also one of their kids.
Yeah, which they never say in any of the musicals. Gavroche is just like, the street urchin kid that shows up and is starting to help out the students.
Yeah.
But they never say that he is one of the Thenardiers' kids.
Yeah. I mean, and actually there are whole chapters about what Gavroche's daily life is like, and the fact that the Thenardiers only cares about her 2 daughters.
So they never really cared that Gavroche
would disappear for days, weeks, and like, oh, there you are, you're back, huh?
Figured you'd come back when you got hungry.
Were you gone?
Yeah. Poor Gavroche.
And you see, in the book, you follow Gavroche around. He finds 2 young kids who were being sent from like their aunts to a friend's house through the streets of Paris, and they gave him the aunt wrote down on a letter, a letter of introduction or something, because this is 1830-ish. Letters of introduction were everything. That's your passport. That's your ID. That's everything. Mm-hmm. So these two young kids, that are younger than him, it's a windy day when they drop their ticket or something, and so now they don't have that, and then they get lost, and so these two kids are just street urchins. Gavroche takes them in, and he's sleeping. He'd kind of made a nest for himself in the elephant statue that
the Moulin Rouge.
Not the Moulin Rouge, but there's a statue that even Napoleon hated. It's been there for centuries in the streets of Paris. I don't know if it's still there. I think so. But a lot of people hated it. Even Napoleon said it was an eyesore, but they left it there. But it had fallen into disrepair during the times, because this is following right on the book really starts on the heels of the Revolution, 1793, the bloody, when the guillotine worked nonstop, the People's Revolution when they beheaded their king and Marie Antoinette too.
Well, it takes place during the Revolution. That's what, doesn't it? Mm-mm. Well, then what are the students fighting for?
They're trying to restart a revolution.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's during the times of as they're coming into later on, when Marius and all his friends enter in, there's people who are still part of the Bonaparte. You're a Bonapartist. They kind of scoffed at people that you
follow Napoleon.
Yeah, you'll give some political opinions like, oh, you sound like you sound like a Napoleon supporter. Mm-hmm. You Bonapartist, you. I was like, well,
take you to the guillotine.
Well, what have the Bourbon Restoration's done for us lately, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So this is in the middle. They had gotten rid of Napoleon again. So you got through there, you Bonaparte, because. Okay, yeah, Thénardier's military jacket. He got that. You asked about where he got that. He got that picking through the pockets of the dead at one of the battles. Mm. In fact, I think it was Waterloo. Yeah. That leading up to that, there was a battle before that where Marius's father was in the army, in Napoleon's army, and they had been routed at Waterloo. Mm-hmm. And while Napoleon was fleeing, his father helped. Marius's father helped him, like gave him a horse or hid him in a house or something like that, while the Allied powers were looking for him. And so, Napoleon quickly I will make you a baron for having helped me. So he wore that title, and so but Thénardier. So later on, there in another battle, they had lost badly. Napoleon gets exiled, comes back, gathers up an army, and tries to do it again, gets defeated by yet another Allied attempt, and gets exiled again. Well, at one of these battles, Marius's father was wounded badly. He's laying there, and that's where you first meet Thénardier, and he's picking through the pockets of the dead, seeing what he can pick up. Well, he puts on an officer's coat to blend in. As other soldiers are looking for, any wounded or any survivors, that way he puts on a coat and he sees some of them coming and crawls in there and pretends to be one of the dead. Mm-hmm. Blends in, waits for them to leave, and goes back to picking through the pockets. Well, he comes across Marius's father, who's wounded, dying, but not dead. Yeah. And I forget exactly how it happens, that he has things in his pockets, and tells Thénardier, I just need you to give this to my son, blah, 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 and tell him, I was like, yeah, here, you can have everything that's in my pockets, just make sure my son gets this letter, because that was to be that. However, Marius's mom's family didn't like his dad, so they never told him who his dad was. He was raised by his mom and her family. So, yeah, the plot thickens over and over again.
Yeah, we're not going to go into all of it because we just do not have the time.
No.
But but subplots upon subplots, and this person knows this person knows that person. Apparently, this person knew that person too. Yeah.
I mean, there's the Thenardiers, and Marius having been intertwined before Marius is even aware either his dad or the Thenardiers exist.
And they still ended up getting intertwined later on.
Over and over.
Because they were neighbors, weren't they?
Yeah. At one point they were neighbors. And that's where
Eponine fell in love with Marius.
Yeah.
Even though Marius is just like, who's this kid?
Yeah, Marius is a few years older than Eponine. So for him, she's just the scruffy kid from across the way.
They never really had the friendship that they portrayed them having in the play.
Yeah, that doesn't really... She was goo-goo for him, but he never really took notice of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the play, that's like, they trust each other. They're always hanging around and, finding each other and talking. They knew each other pretty well.
Yeah. Well, they kind of knew each other. But yeah, she was so much younger, and he was dedicated to his work and the revolution and such, and then dedicated to Cosette that he never took notice of her. She was just the scruffy kid next door.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah.
So sad. And, but, yeah, in the play, you got to make some sacrifices. You're taking something that big and taking it down.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I remember talking about this with my grandpa not too long ago, and he knew the story very well. He had to read it in school, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's great. It's a classic redemption story."
Never mind Shakespeare.
Yeah,
this is what kids need to be reading in high school, man.
My grandpa, it's deeply religious. He's like, it's great. He found redemption through God, and it's like, okay, yeah, that did happen, but
yeah. He bought the priest. Bought his soul for the price of some silver plates and cutlery and 2 silver candlesticks. That priest bought
his
Valjean.
soul for God.
Yeah, says I have a soul in the
How
God.
does he know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like the first time somebody had ever been nice to Valjean in his life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, he's 30. Because, he
had to do 19 years.
His younger sister's kids were starving and close to death. So he had been supporting them. So he's in his teens, we'll say, when that happens. He sees bread in a windowsill. So that's during the times of the revolution or shortly after, when everyone's short on everything because it's a revolution, there's war everywhere. Food scarcity is always a problem in there, and I think there had been a drought or something, so yeah, food scarcity. And when you're poor, food is always scarce. Even when it's plentiful for everyone else, if you're poor, food is scarce. And when you're uneducated, which he was, work is scarce. So he was a day laborer, making whatever money he could to buy whatever they could to survive. So he went into prison in his teens.
And he did 19 years.
Did 19 years. Well, 5 years for what he did. The rest because
he tried to run. Yeah. Apparently running is what he does best. In the play, you want to say, okay, Valjean's the good guy, Javert's the bad guy. But really, Javert's really not that bad of a guy. He just keeps getting duped by Valjean. He really does. Several times, Valjean talks his way out of getting arrested with Javert.
Yeah.
But
I think Valjean would have come back if Javert had given him a fair shake.
Yeah, but if he had agreed to the terms of his deal, that Valjean,
instead of trying to just arrest him on the spot and then beat him up.
Yeah.
The Fontaine's death scene. Yeah. Spoilers.
They did that. Yeah. By now, if you haven't figured out, there's going to be spoilers.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. But yeah, in the play we saw yesterday at Fontenay's death scene, they had this really cool fight scene between Javert and Valjean. It was great. As they were scening to it, the overlapping scening they do right there, they're just like kind of swirling around and like,
Yeah, Valjean or Javert's got that chain. He's just
he like latches it onto Valjean. Valjean like gets so free, and they're just kind of like fighting, and yeah, it was really cool.
It was a solid scene. Yeah,
they did great.
Not many stage productions are willing to put that kind of production. There's
a lot in this production that I had never seen in any of the other stage plays that I'd seen on DVD or whatever. Like at the the very, very first scene, the look down.
Okay.
That it's always establishes that these are slave laborers, prisoners. But it never establishes what they're doing. Usually it's like you think they're working in a field, or in the movie he's working in a dock. Yeah. But in the play, they were rowers.
Yeah.
And you had the guy behind him with the drum, beating the drum,
keeping time with them rowing the ship. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I've never seen it portrayed that way before.
Yeah. That was pretty good. That was, they took some chances with this. They did a lot of things that other stage productions didn't do, for one reason or another, and it really stands out. It was really
I love the way they did the backdrops and the scenery. Everything just kind of moved in or out or up or down, and there's a really cool effect. Jumping to the end real quick here, we'll come back, but I
was curious how they do the barricade.
Yeah, but after the barricade, when Marius is walking through the sewers, or when Valjean's walking through the sewers with Marius on his back, it shows him kind of like walking towards the back of the stage, and there's this big screen, and it's projecting a sewer as you're walking, like moving as she's walking down it. So I thought that was so cool.
They did that a couple times during the Do You Hear the Song of Angry Men? Mm-hmm. It had all of them marching up, and they had the flag, and they were kind of slowly marching in place, but the screen had pictures of the street, like they're marching down the street outside the pub they always hung out at.
Yeah.
And that was really solid. That was powerful. It really builds the scene. The set designs were exceptional.
Yeah, they looked great, and the way they worked them was really, really cool, because they had just come in from the side. It's not like everything went dark and you hear people scuffling to change the scenery.
Fast.
No, it just kind of came in. And I can't help but wonder if in the Saroyan Theater, if they use laser guided systems. Because I don't know if you noticed, but like in the Thénardier's inn scene,
okay,
you see Cosette there, in comes the Thénardier, starts yelling at her, but as she's doing that, like just carts are coming in from the sides, and no one's pushing them. It's like the props just kind of move in from the wings
quietly, stealthily.
Yeah, it's like they're either remote controlled or wire guided systems, because no one's pushing them.
I didn't even notice that. No, you're right.
I took notice of that, and the way the sets
we
move
meant to take pictures, folks. Sorry, we were too engrossed to take pictures.
Well, we couldn't take pictures; it wasn't allowed. But
that's true too.
But yeah, and the way the sets come in and go out, and it's like it had to be so many layers back there. Yeah, everything was done so smoothly.
How big is this place, the storage space behind the stage, man?
Right, the stage goes so deep. It's like, well, I remember when we saw Phantom there. We saw Phantom there probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And everything was like on a turn.
Oh, the giant turntable.
Yeah, It was like on a giant turntable. And like as the scenes changed, it would just turn and there would be the next scene. And then it would turn again. It's like, okay, and here's the next scene.
Yeah, Christine's... It was like cut into quarters, like here's Christine's bedroom, and then it would turn, and there's the stage, and then it was turn, and
I think like as they were turning it, there were like crewmen back there setting up the next scene for be ready to turn, because there was the manager's office in that turntable, the staircase leading down into the catacombs, with the Phantom and Christine when they go down to
And not only that, but it was like it had the stairs like coming out
as
like
they're
Mario
stepping.
level.
It's like, how many times did they like go too fast and miss a step? It's like had to all like be so perfectly timed. But yeah, that was in the same theater, the William Saroyan here in Fresno, and they just got
their stage designs are so next level.
These were both Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis, the plays we saw there, were both put on by Broadway Fresno, and they do just such great work, and
it's so worth it. It's so worth. It's like I don't know how much Taylor Swift tickets are going for, but this was
is better. Better, definitely.
Hate me, fight me, I'll still win.
I cried. I did.
Yes. Oh, you
several
were not
times.
You were not the only one. Like
really?
I could hear people around us. Yes.
I think the lady next to me, I saw her wiping her eyes a couple times. I was like, because the first act, I didn't have my tissues out. They were in my purse, and I didn't want to go fumbling around for my purse. But when intermission came, I was like, I know I'm gonna cry in the scene where Valjean dies, so I gotta have my tissues out. So I like took my tissues out and was like holding them in my lap. I was like, I'm gonna need these.
Oh my god. It's like if you're not overwhelmed with emotion in Fantine's Lament, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, Fantine's Lament, when she's about to die and she's like seeing the children playing and thinks she's talking to Gazette, that too.
Yeah, well, okay, to elaborate on that, because they use that in like so many of the, where are the children now? Mm-hmm. Okay, she was placed in a hospital that was funded by
a convent.
By Valjean's factory.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah, I run a factory, I'm the mayor of this town,
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is something that bugs me about practically every stage version and the movies, is he goes from being scruffy street guy to being
a mayor.
And he's mayor. What?
Yeah. They don't really cover any of that.
The book does a fair job of explaining how it is that he was, scruffy street guy when he decides the life of Valjean is nothing to me now. A new story must begin. He tears up his probation ticket, throws it into the wind, and decides he's going to reinvent himself, after he's had his soul bought for God. As he's coming into that town, there was a house fire, and so he ran, being the good guy that he is and tries to be. When someone said, "Oh my God, there's children strapped in there," so Valjean, just being, he can't stand to see children suffer, so he runs into that fire, goes and saves those kids, comes back out. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're such a hero! You saved these kids! Oh, you're amazing!" And one's like, "Oh my God, sir, what is your name?" And then, and as he was going, somebody else comes up and says, "Can you not see that this is?" And then I can't remember what it was because they only said it like a few times in the book, and it's been some years since I've read that, so bear with me, folks. That while Valjean is going, my name, I definitely have a name. It's
not Jean Valjean.
It's a good name, an honest name. It's it's like that scene in Avatar. Yeah, this is my nephew, Junior. Yeah.
My uncle Mushi.
Yeah, it's like that. But some other guy comes up and he's like, "Can you not see that this is so and so?" Referencing a local legend of some saint that saved children. So it's like, oh well, yeah, that's my name. Yeah,
what he just said.
Yeah. And people are like, well, he's such the hero of the day. They just roll with it. Mm-hmm. Nobody questions it because he just saved 2 kids in this fire. Who's going to question the hero? So he rolls with it. That's like, hey, where are you staying? It would be an honor to have this hero stay at my house for the night. Mm-hmm. Not a problem. And so using some of the priest's silver, sold some of that, got a job, worked the way up, bought that factory, that factory was on its way out, bought that, turned it around, started making real money out of it, and then eventually became mayor of the town. So it actually was an arduous climb, a few lucky breaks here and there, but it was an arduous climb from street guy up, guy walking
convict.
convict to anonymous person walking down the street to, he's mayor. There's a gap there that is somewhat explained in the books. But
but this stage production is already 3 hours long.
But to elaborate on Fantine calling "Where are the children now?" and why she thinks she sees Cosette or hears Cosette is that hospital that Valjean, the people relied on him. He took the profits from that factory, and he doesn't need the money. He's not really worried about himself. So he did all these things. There was a public hospital that he ran by the factory. From the profits from the factory, ran this hospital to put it back into town. There was also some children's education stuff going on. So he was really trying to make this town awesome. But there was outside the window, there was a courtyard where there would be children playing in the afternoons, and Cosette would hear them. Fantine would hear the children playing in the courtyards. One day soon, Cosette would be there. So that's why during the song, where are the children now? Because she thought she could hear them while she was dying.
So sad.
It really is. I think she died of
consumption.
Consumption or some prolonged cancer. Because throughout the book, even in her younger years, before she has Cosette, she had a cough. The world really did give Fantine the raw deal. She was a naive young girl. Her and some of her friends who were dating some guys. And the guys were all, turns out the guys were all using pseudonyms. And one day they all just disappeared. Up and disappeared. Leaving, they took, it's like, we'll all go to this big, we're going to go to a diner. And the guys were like, hey guys, why don't you come with me to the bathroom or something? And so they had the waiter, so all three of the girls are sitting there waiting for the guys to come back to the table. And the waiter brings a letter. And so this is why Fantine, had some class to her, some more, because she was, young, pretty, had a job, was getting some money. She was, becoming a self-reliant person. So the letter arrives at the table. We're actually princes and dukes and such, so we have our lives waiting for us. That's why we used fake names. Don't bother trying to contact us. We won't know you if you even do find us. And the meal's paid for.
Wow. At least they had the decency to pay for the meal.
Yeah. The problem was Fantine had already given herself to I think Felix, as a wife gives herself to her husband. Is how it's stated
she got knocked up with Cosette.
Yes. So no idea who Cosette's father is. He just up and disappears. So after an unwed mother in 1820, that's a stoning offense. So that's why she had to leave her daughter. She was ousted from the town that she was living in, lost her job, was ousted there, and that is why she brokered the deal with the Thénardiers to leave Cosette at that inn. Yeah,
she thought that she would do good there. They have other kids she could play with, and of course the Thénardiers turned on their charm. Oh yeah, we'll take her in. We're good people.
Yeah, and then looking at young, they've got the two daughters there. At the time, they didn't have Gavroche. He was born later. So, and sees Fantine and
Eponine.
Eponine and the other Gazelle, I think. It started with a G. I'm pretty sure it started with a G. I'm sorry, kid. Nobody remembers you. Sorry. But sees them, dressed well and looking healthy because the Thénardiers doted upon them endlessly. So, this seems safe. And it also, now she's just a single woman looking for work instead of a single unwed mother. So that's more respectable. In the public eye.
And that's why when it came out at the factory that she has a daughter, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
But
which I really like the way they portrayed that scene. That
in the one we saw yesterday?
Yes. Something you don't get in a lot of the other productions, that the girl that grabs the letter and starts reading it.
She's like all over the foreman.
Yes.
She was like the foreman's lover, and she didn't want Fantine to take her place.
Yeah, she was jealous, seething with jealousy that the foreman only had eyes for Cosette. So she had
Fantine.
For Fantine. So I had to bring her down a notch. Thank you. I keep getting the names. I can't name tonight.
It's okay.
So
But you saw that several times, like her like charging over there to chase Fantine away, and she was the one who grabbed the letter and started the whole fight. And
at the end of that scene where they've thrown Fantine, on your way, she quickly walks over to the foreman, throws her over,
walks away laughing to herself.
Yeah, she'd gotten her prize.
Yeah,
destroyed Fantine's life, but got her prize. So, yeah, that's Fantine's problem. Oh, well.
Yeah. Until the next one arrives.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to talk about is kind of the differences between the different performances we've seen. Because I was looking everywhere for the case. I also own, I think, the 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary. It's a more recent one. And there is a lot of really good talent in that one.
Yeah.
But there is one fatal flaw in that one.
Well, we're starting there. Okay.
We're going to start there. We'll get to the good stuff.
We're going to start with the elephant in the corner.
A huge fatal flaw in the 20th or 25th anniversary.
I want to know who's responsible for this decision.
Whoever was casting the show needs to be fired. They really do.
What's Nick?
Nick Jonas, a Jonas brother, as Marius. Now, Marius is a character who has a lot of emotion. He's very passionate.
My God, he's the picture of passion.
Yeah, I mean, the book side, just from what you see in the films, he's very passionate. He's, part of this movement. We're going to change this town. We're going to change this country.
He's very idealistic. Starry-eyed.
Yeah, and he goes from that,
certain about what he wants out of life.
Yeah, and he goes from that to falling deeply in love with this girl that he accidentally bumped into. So that
really was a chance meeting. I like that. That's been a consistent portrayal.
Mm-hmm. So he goes from passionate about his cause to passionately in love with this girl. Got to see her. Then he's got this war inside him. Do I chase after the love of my life, or do I stand with my brothers? What do I do? There's all this emotion in Marius. And then after the battle, he goes back to where
he's deeply conflicted.
After the battle, he goes back to the cafe where they met. And it's just like, all my friends are empty chairs and empty tables. All my friends are gone. Why am I still alive? Why didn't I fall with you? Just total survivor's guilt.
Yes, PTSD,
survivor's guilt. Just, all of his friends are dead, just dealing with the trauma of all that. So much emotion needs to go into Marius's character. But Nick Jonas is, first of all, he can't sing.
No.
He cannot sing.
He can sing. It's all auto-tune.
Singing for preteen girls in a Disney show is completely different than singing in a opera
or
big theater production.
Yes.
And he can't act. The entire time he's acting, he either looks like he's in pain, or that he's confused and has no idea where he is.
Just kind of like,
yeah, it's just this confused look, or he looks like he's in pain. He's like always like grabbing his stomach, and it's like, who made this decision?
Yeah.
Who made?
Why?
And he's next
distracting.
To and he performs next to, I can't say his last name, but his first name is Raman. He's the one who played Phantom in the 25th anniversary of Phantom of the Opera. Amazing.
I don't have my phone on me.
Amazing scener.
We'll have to make some slides.
I think it's like Kirmalu or something like that. It's some really long Iranian name. But
we'll put some slides. We'll find a picture of him.
Yeah.
So people know who we're talking about.
Amazing scener. This guy has a voice, and he's definitely supposed to be in these types of productions. It's what he does.
Yeah.
And he's good at it. And they put this poor kid next to him who can't sing, who can't act, who probably just questioning himself, what am I doing here? And all the audiences are saying the same thing. What is he doing there? Because none of the passion and the feeling and stuff that Marius is supposed to have came through from Nick Jonas. And in this one, the 10th anniversary, Michael Ball, I think is the name of the man who played Marius, did an amazing job. Yeah. Especially empty chairs and empty tables. The way he sings it just gives you chills because he puts so much emotion into it. Real Broadway or theater singers know how to put all of their emotion into their singing.
And that was something that bothered us about the movie.
The musical one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the singing felt flat.
Yeah. And like we were talking about this earlier today on our other podcast, Drive Us Alien.
Also on Spotify. Check them out.
But we were talking about this earlier that totally lost my train of thought right now.
That we were complaining about why was the singing done live
for
so many other people, and then there was also two people, I think Minnie Driver and one other. Again, I meant to look this up.
Minnie Driver's in that?
Yeah, she. Who was she? She wasn't. She was like one of the side characters. I think.
Because I know Minnie Driver was in Phantom of the Opera, the movie.
I think it was Minnie Driver, but anyways, there was two people that were like professional singers, and for some reason they decided to lip sync their songs, but everyone else's songs were recorded live while performing the scene.
Yeah, and yeah, that's
why.
That's what we were talking about earlier. I remembered that.
You remember things.
Yeah, I do sometimes. A lot of times I don't, but. But what we were talking about is like, I know Hugh Jackman can sing.
That's where he started.
He started on theater. Yes. I know he can sing. But in that movie, yeah, he's just flat the whole time. It's like he could not sing to save his life in that movie. And then there's Russell
Where do you even begin?
Okay. So
easily my most hated Javert.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down. Because in the one with Nick Jonas, the Javert in that was amazing too.
Oh my God.
He was great. The Javert in the one we saw yesterday was amazing.
Yeah.
And this one, amazing. They're all great.
Between those and Jeffrey Rush, it was hard to pick. It's actually hard to pick which one.
Yeah. Jeffrey Rush. We didn't even touch on that one yet. We've just been kind of focusing on the musicals, but
that was a movie version, a straight up just regular movie, non-musical movie, and it was done really well. The problem with that one, the only problem with that one is that it has the same problem a lot of movie portrayals have, is that they don't do the whole story.
Yeah, it ended too soon. It ended right after Javert's death, and there was still, Cosette and Marius getting married, Valjean going off on his journey, Cosette finding her again, Valjean's death, the rest of Valjean's life.
Yeah, there's still another 10, 15 years here.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's just, Javert jumps off that bridge and Valjean just kind of walks away like, cool, I don't have to deal with him anymore. And the movie ends. So
I loved the way they portrayed it. They did Javert's final moments there, that he couldn't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. It broke him. That Valjean's mercy broke him.
The one we saw yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, yes. It was
because
like...
you have to understand the Javert character. In Javert's mind, authority is everything. He's been a beat cop his entire life.
And however you were born, that's how you are. Men don't change.
Yeah. Well, because he is a man of order. Now, he is a man of order in a turbulent, chaotic world. Now think about it. He became a cop coming out of the times of the Napoleonic Wars. Mm-hmm. So he's already seen Napoleon ousted, a pseudo-government put into place, Napoleon returns, he gets ousted again, Bourbon Restoration, and then another government. So he's seen like 3 or 4 different governments come and go. So chaos and turbulence are everywhere in these times. Political upheaval. So he is the man of order and justice, and these are the rules, and you're going to live by them, or you will deal with me. And that was his reputation that he developed.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, oh, God, it's Javert. Run.
Yeah.
If he catches you, you're fucked.
Unfortunately, no one has put out the prop that one of the things he's known for in the book is that his iron cudgel. He had
it in the play we saw yesterday.
No. In the book, it's a full-size staff.
Okay. So he just kind of had like a nightstick.
Yeah, not a nightstick. No. Staff. Gandalf, you shall not pass. Staff made of iron.
Kind of like Madame Giry.
Yes. What Madame Smack. And when you smack
that down, everyone stopped, paid attention.
And your blood runs cold. Yes. Because he will use it on you. And so Javert is just the man of law and order in a world that seems to turn itself over every 10 years.
And he even says that when he's infiltrating the students and they figure out who he is, and Valjean says, give him to me. And he's like, the world is upside down. The world is inside out. It's just like, oh, I'm at the mercy of him now. I'm the one in trouble. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The law is inside out. The world is upside down. That's what he said.
Yeah. These students.
Yeah, these students. Well, those students, held your fate. And when Valjean spared him, his mind couldn't deal.
Javert believes in strictness and honesty and forthrightness to a fault. When he goes undercover and weaves his way in there, when Gavroche notices, I know you. You're just Inspector. How
Javert.
do you do, Inspector Javert? And they ask him, like, is that true? Are you a cop? Yes.
Yeah.
He just immediately yes, I am an Inspector Javert.
Well, plus I think
he couldn't bring himself to lie to try and complete his mission of infiltrating these guys. He's that strict.
Yeah. Plus, I think the students trusted Gavroche more than this guy they just met.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, his death scene, he's just like going mad, turning himself inside out. He doesn't know what to do with himself anymore. He can't take. He breaks. He totally breaks, and the actor portrayed it wonderfully.
Yes,
it's like it gave you chills. And I do have to say that Javert jumping into the ocean or the river, whatever,
it was a river.
Committing suicide on the stage play was 1,000,000 times better than his in the
Splat.
movie. The thud against those rocks, even though it was very satisfying to see Russell Crowe's thud against those rocks, it was done so much better in the movie or in the play. Yeah, it was great.
Actually, the way they did it on stage was awesome.
I didn't see it coming because I didn't even see the strings.
Yeah,
he was in a harness.
You have him ranting back and forth, and he's standing on something. He's standing on top of the bridge.
And in front of him comes a railing, as he's ranting and raving, a railing of a bridge kind of comes out in front of him.
As if he's walked onto the bridge. He's going down the streets ranting to himself and walks onto this bridge, looks to the stars for guidance, and steps onto the railing and then jumps.
Stars are black and cold.
Yeah.
To stare into a void of a world I cannot hold.
Yeah. I'll escape from this world. I'll escape from the
world of Jean Valjean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I love is that it's so, and so, yeah, he jumps and the stage kind of falls away.
And he kind of goes up. He's suspended. And on the backdrop, there's the projection of water. And he's like falling into the water.
He's on the wires being pulled backwards towards the projection.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Oh, that's so good. I was like,
oh, snap.
I was just waiting for him to get up on the railing and jump into the stage, and there'd be a trap door.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
No. They went big.
It was so great.
Go big or go home, baby. And boy, did they go big.
But shifting back to what we were talking about before, the 25th anniversary one, it's like, yeah, okay, Nick Jonas is a fatal flaw, but everyone else was amazing.
Solid.
Everyone else. There's
Solid.
actually 2 people from Phantom of the Opera 25th anniversary in there, which is Enjolras and what's the name of the guy who's always drunk? Grantier. Yeah. Grantier was Vicomte de Chagny, Raoul in Phantom of the Opera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so he has an amazing voice. And
proper stage performers.
And, you know, Enjolras had an amazing voice, and there's Nick Jonas in the middle. But the guy that got to play Valjean, he was amazing. The guy that got to play Javert, he was amazing. Fontaine. But one of my favorites in that one, she also, it was Eponine, and she also played Eponine in the movie, but in the live stage play, she's another one that all of her emotion went into Eponine's, you know, little... what would you call it? Like, where she's make-believing she's with Marius, you know, she's walking through the streets alone, just talking about how much she loves Marius. Her lament or whatever.
Her daydream.
Yeah. And, you know, she's just putting all of her emotion. You could see the emotion coming out of her as she's singing. She did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it was downplayed in the movie. She was in the movie as Eponine, but it's like, I know you could do this a lot better. I've seen it.
The movie was a good idea done
poorly.
Not done as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot better.
Now, if they want to try that again where they actually record good versions of these people singing, I'd give it a shot.
I've also been seeing reboots lately.
As long as Russell Crowe's not in it.
Yeah, can we get a reboot? I mean, they're rebooting everything else these days. Come on, can we get a reboot? Can
we have a mulligan, a do-over?
I'll take it. I'm not a fan of reboots and such, but I'll take it.
But this one right here, the 10th anniversary one, that one's got Colm Wilkinson in it.
Hey,
and yeah.
I mean,
he's amazing singer. He's done so much stuff. He like in the world of, you know, British theater, he's like this god. But damn it, he does sound like Sean Connery.
It does kind of sound like Sean Connery.
But he does do an amazing job as Javon. Jean Valjean.
Really does. Right down, you know, the looks and the right look, the right facial structure, the beard.
And the Thénardier in this one was the same one in the 25th anniversary. It was the same lady, and she did a great job too. Or all forget to be nice. Her hair's up in this big
beehive, messy
nest.
bun.
You know, briar. It looks like briar, but
rat's nest.
Yeah. But
the one thing that's always been a consistency about the Thénardiers is they pretend to be so fancy, but they're obviously trailer trash.
And in the play we saw yesterday, what I loved is, you know, as they're singing and dancing, doing Master of the House, you see them just kind of like slipping through, grabbing people's stuff, stealing things, and the whole song they're like grifting people and stealing from people. It's hilarious. Like a blind man comes on in, like takes off his shoes, and Thénardier steps in his shoes and leaves his old ones there.
You know, the traveler sits down and set yourself down.
They use a big hook and like steal his bag and go through it and put it back. And
yeah, the whole time, you know, and then the blind man had the bird in the cage, liver of a horse, kidney of a cat.
She threw it in there.
Yeah, she threw the bird into the sausages, filling up the sausages with this and that.
Oh,
Mix it in a mixer and pretend it's beef.
Yeah. I love Master of the House. It's probably one of my favorite songs. And in the 10th anniversary one too, the guy, I don't know the name of the guy that got to play Thénardier, but he did a great job too. Yeah.
They are the world's just like, you slimy little shit.
And they go from, you know, having their inn to, you know,
being absolutely destitute.
And just ripping off people in the streets and breaking into houses,
con jobs, burglary.
I like it at the end in the play we saw yesterday. At the end, at Marius and Cosette's wedding, they show up, in these fancy clothes, trying to blend in with everybody to try and get Marius to pay him for information.
Yeah.
And you see Thénardier and Marius talking, and she's in the background, like, stuffing plates down her dress. And, like, she, like, trips and falls over, and all the plates come crashing out, and she's like, yeah, she's like, ah, and everyone, like, looks up, and they're like, Maestro, 1, 2, 3, come on, let's go. And they start dancing away. It was, Marius and Cosette's wedding scene was so funny because they have all these fops there, and
this one's a queer,
but what can you do?
There goes a prince, this one's a duke, that one's a queer,
but what can you do?
I like they changed it in that one yesterday.
Yeah, it's like, I think he said, I'll try it too.
Yeah,
or something like that.
The guy does the dips, like tries to.
But it was done so great. There was a lot of laughs, a lot of phallic representations in yesterday's.
Yes, they did not hold back. It was definitely not an all ages show.
And I was feeling a little concerned as watching it because I saw a couple of small children taking their seats with their parents, and I was just like, oh dear.
Yeah, during the foreman,
the foreman.
When Fontaine's getting her letter from the foreman, he kind of holds it down like, makes her reach for it.
Or when even stokers need a little stoke. Yeah.
Lovely ladies. Yeah.
He thinks he's quite a lover, but there's not much there.
Yeah, the Thénardier is like taking a piece of bread, regular.
Yeah, baguette. And thinks he's quite a lover, but breaks it off. But there's not much there.
Just this little bit of bread.
So funny. Yeah, the Thénardiers, you love to hate them because any scene with them in it is funny.
Yeah.
And they did a great job yesterday. Every scene they were in, they got laughs out of it. Even when he's in the sewers, picking the bodies.
Yeah. That seems to be like where he makes his most money is Thénardier just always picking the pockets of the dead. Mm-hmm. He's that kind of guy. He's the vulture that shows up and picks your pocket when you're dead.
And someone's got to clean them up, my friends, before this little harvest disappears into the mud. Someone's got to collect their odds and ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not going to need it anymore.
Yeah. Shouldn't it be too hard to sell? Yeah, and he finds Marius, and Marius is not dead, but passed out, and steals his watch.
Passed out, yeah.
And his ring.
And in the book, they often don't do this on stage plays, because I guess it's harder to do, it's harder to convey. In the book, Valjean is like taking a little rest, and Thénardier down there, they don't recognize each other. Mm-hmm. Or at least Thénardier,
not at first anyway.
Not at first. I don't think Valjean recognizes Thénardier, but Thénardier kind of recognizes Valjean.
Because he said that in the one we saw yesterday. Because he thinks Valjean's dead, and he goes to pick his pockets, and he moves, and he's like, "What? Oh, Valjean, you just show up everywhere!" And runs off.
Ain't the world a remarkable place? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and buggers off. Well, okay. In the book, Valjean is carrying Marius. And comes across to the going through the sewers, and I'm trying to remember, comes across Thénardier somehow as he's going through the sewers, picking through the pockets, and Thénardier is like, "Oh well, here, let me help you carry him," and so on the sly, Thénardier like takes and cuts a piece of Marius's coat.
Oh really?
Yeah, like a sleeve or down here near the waist or something. Cuts it with a knife real quick, just like on the sly while Valjean's distracted, and rips it off and puts that in his pocket. And that is later on what I don't remember a ring, but maybe. But
what he gives to him at the wedding.
It gives him at the wedding because that's why they go off into Marius' study, because Marius kept that coat from that day. Mm-hmm. For sentimental reasons, right? I guess.
Don't forget type thing.
Don't forget type thing. Yeah, because I mean, empty chairs.
Honor his fallen brethren.
Yeah. Because that was how Thénardier identified himself. It's like, yeah, I have this. And
It's
it's like,
like,
tells this
oh,
elaborate
so
story of
he's-
comes across a corpse, a corpse carrying another corpse. It's like, and why should I believe anything you say? Because I have this. And the bit of fabric from Marius' coat, Marius takes it, matches it up. Of course, it matches up his coat. It's like, oh, so that was you. So you were there, and you saw who carried me. Yeah, I saw you, and it was about,
And he's all, you can pay me money and I'll tell you who it is.
which he does, and then quickly gives him the boot.
Yeah, and the play we saw yesterday where he says, take this too, he punches him.
I think he actually did in the book. Yeah, I
Did
can't
he?
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
One reason he spotted the Thénardier so easily was stage play. They did it funner. I like their version better, but in the book, Thénardier shows up by himself in a rented suit. That there was a guy who rented some clothing, so you could pretend to be whatever, but it didn't. They were one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't fit him well, so he stood out in the crowd. The sleeves were just a little too short, the shirt just a little too tight, and everything. So it stood out, and it was a little threadbare. So he was like, "Who is this guy?" And that kind of made Thénardier stand out in the crowd. From like, "You were not invited. You're crashing. Who the heck are you?
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you, and why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not calling security right now?"
He's not fooled. Told you so.
Marius didn't raise no. Marius no fool.
Maurice is no fool.
Headstrong, but no fool. I liked the battle scene. I was curious on how they were going to pull that one off, how they were going to do the barricade.
Yeah, they did it really well. Because you just heard the French army, you didn't see them, which is much more menacing. You just kind of saw what was going on behind, from the barricade back. So, behind the scenes type thing. And one thing they did in this one that I didn't see them doing any of the other ones, or I can't remember if they did it in the movie or not, that when they realized, okay, we're going to lose this battle. We're all going to die.
Let's not waste lives.
Let's not waste lives. Women and fathers of children need to go. And so all the women buggered off, and, a few men too.
Which in the book, that was a very heavy scene.
So that was in the book?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I'd never seen it portrayed in any of the other performances. So that was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, that's another example of this. These guys, they took chances and included a few things that a lot of other people didn't. Mm-hmm. And so, cheers to that.
Yeah. Yeah, Andras,
Andras was all about the cause.
Yeah, he was very passionate for his cause, but he was also a great leader and knew when to cut his losses and how to go about doing it.
Yeah. He listened to his comrades, and I think somebody's pointed that out. It's like, yeah. And he agreed. Mm-hmm. Because it was an all or nothing bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew this was either going to change France completely. All the people are going to come out of their houses and join us. We are going to have an army bigger than the French army, or we're going to die here.
Double or nothing. Go big or go home. And he was willing to go big.
Yeah, he was willing to go big. Unfortunately, the people that he was relying on to come out and support them never showed up. They were still living in fear.
In the book, there were various revolutions throughout the town.
They put that in the movie.
Yeah?
Not the musical movie, the one with Jeffrey Rush and Liam Neeson?
Was it Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
We'll put a slide here.
Yeah.
We'll straighten this out. We'll fix it in post. We'll straighten it out.
Qui-Gon Jinn. The guy who plays Qui-Gon Jinn.
But yeah, there were several small revolutions around town. That was one of the reasons it took the army so long. And there was a lot of miscommunications with the army.
They had a lot of little fires they had to go put out.
Yeah. And one detail that gets left out but plays a role in how it was Valjean was able to sneak through the army lines.
Because he had the uniform.
He had the uniform, which was his. It was his own uniform.
He was in the army?
He, being a good, dutiful citizen of the times, he enlisted in a kind of a reservist, almost like a National Guard.
I see.
Where you would tune in for, a week. Or
if we need you, you need to show up.
Yeah, kind of like a National Guard type thing we have here in the States where, every other weekend you go and drill and all this stuff. Or sometimes, for a month you're gone.
1 week a month, 2 weeks a year.
Yeah, there it is. So he had enlisted in that as a way of being a good citizen, to develop some credibility and also just to do something worthwhile. So that was his own uniform.
Yeah, they never portray that in the musicals. I just figured he found it somewhere, stole it off some other soldier or something.
that plays a big role because that was one of the reasons he went back to his house at 55 de Homar Lane, Rue de la Homarme. Yeah. He had gone back to get his uniform because he figured that it would be easier for him to get around at night, with all this going on, with all these revolutions going on, easier to move around in uniform than it would be because he had intercepted Gavroche. Gavroche was delivering the letter.
Oh, not Eponine?
Not Eponine.
Oh.
Gavroche was at the barricade. Marius, as a...
Wasn't he trying to save Gavroche by sending him away?
Because by that point, he had learned about Thénardier having interacted with his dad and learned about his dad. And his dad was like, my dad was awesome. He was a soldier. And that was one of the things that really sealed the deal for Marius to join the revolution. Mm-hmm. And to be like his dad. That was also why he called himself Baron Pontmercy. Because his dad was, I will make you a baron for having saved me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the movie, it was his grandfather that kind of came out and told him everything about his dad, towards the end or something like that. Because his grandpa was raising him.
Yeah, his mom and his family. But actually, it was somebody from the church that knew his dad.
I see.
And it was really a chance meeting, I think it was. I could be getting that wrong. Probably am. It's been a few years. But, yeah, so think, Thénardier did my family some service. I need to do them a service to pay that back. I owe this debt to them. Mm-hmm. So, as a way of paying back Thénardier, it's I will save your son. You tried to save my dad. I will save your son. Mm-hmm. So... putting it all together because he had lived next to the Thénardiers, so it's you're Gavroche. You're Gavroche Thénardier. So to save Thénardier, he's like, here, take this letter to my girlfriend. This will get this will get him away from the barricade before the final battle.
Yeah, well, he made it back.
Yeah.
He's a quick little bugger.
He's a quick little bugger. Marius, he tried, but Gavroche was dead set on getting back.
Yeah, because I think they did that in one of the movies. I can't remember which one, because I remember Gavroche delivering a letter to Valjean, and then afterwards he puts his hand out, tip please,
Yeah. Well, he was an enterprising little bugger too.
Well, yeah. And they in the one we saw yesterday, they kind of created this relationship between Gavroche and
Grantier.
Yeah, Grantier.
They kind of he's
you never really see that in any of the other productions or movies. Yeah, but
nobody spares a minute for Gavroche
or Grantier because he's just a drunk.
Yeah.
So I don't know, something about this poor drunk man that everyone dismisses. Gavroche just latches onto him, and when Gavroche gets shot, you just see him breaking down.
Oh my God, the sorrow is tangible.
Oh my God, I started to cry. I was like, I can't take it anymore. Can't hold it anymore.
Building up to that, the prior scene.
When Eponine,
when they're like, boys, this is gonna be it. Yeah, all the wives, all the women, and some, fathers of children, you need to leave. This is gonna be it. Mm-hmm. And they, the drink with me scene, as it's tomorrow we probably die, so let's all have one last drink. You see, Grantier and Gavroche kind of went off to the side, kind of like, we're just gonna sit here and sleep. You sleep.
Yeah, he kind of put his arm around him.
Gavroche, you sleep next to me.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a little they kind of forged a relationship between those two, and it was very touching until Gavroche got shot.
Yeah, which really broke
Grantier. You didn't see him, you didn't hear him crying, but you can the actor, you can
You
see
knew he
him,
was.
You can see him breaking down.
Yeah,
And
because he's
it's
like holding Gavroche
like
in his
just
arms and just kind of sinks to his knees.
and just
Like he can't accept that Gavroche is dead. He's like shaking his shoulders a little bit, like trying to wake him up.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, he's just sleeping. He needs to wake up. And it's like he can't take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he just breaks.
So
good
powerful.
actors.
That was so strong.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, good actors make these great stories amazing and so epic. And the one we saw yesterday, it was done great. Like we were walking to the car afterwards, and I saying to Martha, it's like there wasn't a single person cast in that play that I wished they had it.
No, the casting was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was perfect.
Perfect. And
because
everyone...
each one of them brought it.
Oh, yeah. And Eponine in that one, she did great, too. She got, like... People were, like, clapping for her before she even finished her song. And, yeah, pouring the emotion out to it. She did a great job.
Yeah. Eponine dies saving Marius's life. And that's when Marius finally kind of notices, like... You know, because she had disguised herself
as a boy. Yeah.
As a boy, yeah. So Marius didn't even notice who was standing next to him, who had reached up and grabbed this rifle that had been pointed at him, and then sees a person laying there and like, oh man, hey, let me help you. Eponine, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you? Oh my God, you're bleeding.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're dying. So, and that kind of gets misconstrued. That, you know, as she's laying there dying, you know, he starts talking all these sweet things and saying nice things. Like she was dying, so he was humoring her.
Yeah. It's not.
Easier.
It's not like, you know, he had fallen in love with her for doing this heroic act. He was just trying to comfort her in her last moments.
Yeah, this person's dying. I'm just going to make this as comfortable as I can, because that's just the good thing to do. And sometimes they kind of play that up like there was a relationship there, but no.
No. Marius was head over heels for Cosette.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to change that.
And Eponine knew that, and yet she still kept going.
Stood by him.
You know, every word he says is a dagger in me.
Yeah, when he's like, you know, singing sweet nothings to Cosette, and she's just standing there like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ultimate friend zone.
In the worst way possible. In the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But anyway, well, we should probably wrap this up.
We should start wrapping this up.
It's getting late. But yeah, we were very, very happy we went and saw that yesterday. It was an amazing experience, and even if
it's not just a play, it's not just a story, it's an experience.
Yeah,
that's you used the right word there. You used the right word.
And if something like this doesn't come to your town and you can't go see it live, then look this up on Amazon. It'd probably be like $5. Or go to your local used VHS store and get it for 50 cents.
Right. eBay, Amazon.
I'm sure, or check it out on YouTube first. I'm sure there's plenty of performances, or at least the audio.
Yeah, probably. And I'm sure there's a number of audiobooks out there. Again, the great works on Spotify. If it's in the public domain, they've probably done it.
Yeah, just expect to be listening for a long time.
Keep that fast forward button handy.
But yeah, if you could see it live, that's the way to see it.
Definitely.
Don't judge the live performance on the movie that came out. Please don't.
I mean, there were things the movie got right. I had one.
I was about to say, really? What is it?
The costuming is good. The directing was fairly good. I like that they actually showed a little bit of what prison life was like. That they did a pretty good job of building a world.
I will say that Anne Hathaway was a good Fontaine.
Yes.
She was a good Fontaine.
She saves the movie, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want a good summary of that movie, go to Nostalgia Critic's review of it. It's really funny.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's the one thing where, he loves to complain about anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I remember his was like, and this is where Anne Hathaway does this.
And they're like,
it's
fantastic.
It's awesome.
I think they said,
perfect.
I think they said in that review, it's like, if the rest of the cast did their roles with the amount of emotion that Anne Hathaway puts into this song, we wouldn't be doing this review.
Yeah, because I think in the movie they actually did the one thing the stage plays always leave out, which was in the book. She'd sold some of her teeth.
Yeah. In the shows, they show her selling her locket and her hair, but yeah, they left the teeth out a little too grisly.
Yeah.
But
everyone leaves out that she had this cough for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just kind of made it seem like once she'd gotten out onto the street, that's when she contracted consumption or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I think it was like some sort of walking pneumonia that finally got bad. Maybe. Or something, or some sort of slow building cancer that had been setting in for a long time. Because it just, Hugo brings that up again and again and again, saying that there's definitely something wrong with her. Mm-hmm. That gets worse as her conditions worsen.
Mm-hmm.
And it just builds.
It's like they changed it in the movie, because usually Fantine does her lament after she gets fired from the factory, but in this one they do it like right after she made love to some, or quote unquote made love. She'd been purchased for her services, and she's just kind of like reflecting on her life, and then she goes into her lament there. But the way they did it just seemed more fantastic, because there's so much more raw emotion into it, because she's just like, what has happened to my life?
Yeah.
So that part they did good.
They did very well. Yeah. And it's such a powerful thing that it's like she doesn't want to accept it. She goes to like all the 7 stages of grieving in that one scene. This can't be my life. Oh my God, this is my life. I hate that this is my life. Yep, this is my life. It's like all 7 stages all in that one scene and it's just too difficult to describe it. It just has to be experienced. You just have to experience that scene.
Yeah. But yeah, this is it. The musical live performance is definitely the way to go.
And it's like, even amongst the hookers, everyone just dumped on Fantine. Mm-hmm. She was just this, and she never did anything to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she didn't deserve to be treated the way she did.
Everyone just took their opportunity to dump on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she never did anything to anybody, except for one person who never, because it's a small character in the book, gets left out a lot. Okay, it's a small character. She had a roommate, an old woman, who would help like tend to her wounds and things like that, and just kind of consoled her and kind of be nice to her. This old woman was like making candles or sewing or something like that for her trade. So Fantine would help her, and so between the two of them, they started to kind of make a little money. But Fantine wasn't making enough money to send to the yards through that. So she kept selling or kept hooking, prostituting. And there was a detail that gets brought up in a lot of the stage plays and the movies that really shows how abusive the Thénardiers were to Fantine through their letters. That when Fantine sells her hair, he's like, I'll give you 10 francs, just think of that.
Yeah, she's all, this could save my poor Cosette. Right. Yeah, they always said that Cosette was on the verge of death.
Yeah.
That she was sick. She needs medicine. You need to send us more money for medicines.
Well, how dismissive the Thénardiers were of Fantine is, that number 10 francs. Mm-hmm. And then you come to the inn. 10
francs your mother sends me. What's that going to buy?
Yeah.
Why did we take you in the first place? So stupid the things we do, like daughter, the scum of the street.
Yeah. So Fantine is literally selling parts of her bodies for that $10 that the Thénardiers are scoffing at as pocket change. That's just how bad Fantine was getting kicked.
Well, I mean, the Thénardiers just, they're...
Well, yeah, they're scum.
They're scum. They're con artists. Like when Valjean showed up to, basically buy Cosette from them. And so, not that we begrudge a sou. It's no more than we Christians must do. That was funny.
I love how, just about every version, he always tries to do the crossing, but it's always like wrong.
But I like that they call her the... Mr. Thénardier always calls her Colette or something like that.
Gets her name wrong, yeah. Bye, Baguette.
Let's not haggle for darling Colette. Cosette.
Yeah, and Valjean grabs her. It won't take you too long to forget.
Well, he remembered.
Farewell, Baguette.
Yeah, he remembered because, later on when he finds him in the street and it's like, he came and picked up Cosette. I let her go for her soul, and it's time to settle the debt.
Yeah.
So he actually did remember.
One thing that bothers me a lot in the stage plays and movies is that they kind of make Javert seem like he was chasing Valjean through the years.
Kind of, yeah, but he just kind of popped up.
Yeah, it's like Valjean just kind of like pops up here and there. Javert had actually kind of moved on, time after time, because like, it's like, yeah, Valjean's out there somewhere, but I've got other things to do. I've got a job to do right here in front of me.
They kind of made it seem like that more in the Geoffrey Rush version.
Yeah.
Because, when Valjean has him at the barricade and he's setting him free, and he's like, why are you doing this? Why do you always chase me and torment me? And he's like, you're the one that got away. You're the one that always, I couldn't catch. It made it seem like, he got away. I need to find him. He even told his superiors when he was going undercover to join the students, he's like, this could be the most important arrest I've made in my career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made it seem like, Valjean's always the one that got away from him, and it was a personal vendetta, and he was chasing him down. But no, it wasn't like that.
It really wasn't, and that was something this stage play got right. This version, the Broadway in Fresno here got right, was that every time the two cross paths,
it was just by chance.
It's just by chance, and if it always takes Javert a minute to like, hey, wait a minute, I know that face, Because there's the scene in the con scene in the street where they're on their way to Valjean and Cosette are on their way to volunteer at some soup kitchen. They're giving away bread and soup for the poor, and the Thénardiers try to hassle them. He's like, I know you. Yeah, and then they kind of do that in the play yesterday. He like pulled away his shirt to see the brand on his chest. He's like, you know me, I'm just like you. Yeah, and then by the time Javert shows up. And then seizing the opportunity, Valjean slips away. There was actually another scene in the book where that happens too, where again, Valjean just like slips out while Valjean's...
but Javert's looking over here.
Yeah, well, it's literally looking the other way. He just kind of sneaks off in the absence of a victim.
Please, Inspector. Can I go?
But remember me when you catch him.
Remember when you nicked him, it was me what told you so. Yeah.
Yeah. That, our lighting's giving up.
Yeah, we better wrap this up.
High tech. We use high tech lighting. High tech. Table lamps and poster cardboard.
You didn't need to tell him that.
Yeah, but it works. But, Javert was a beat cop. He knows Valjean's out there somewhere, but he's got a job to do right there. And that was something I really want to salute the stage play yesterday, that they got that, because it kind of bugs me when they make it like a personal vendetta.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this isn't Lupin the Third where Pops is always chasing down. It's like, Zettigawa's made his career to catch Lupin. No. It's much more.
It's like he's not happy that Javert or Valjean keeps getting away from him, but he's got more important things to think about.
Got more immediate things, yeah. He's got more his world is bigger than that.
And it's funny because in the movie with Jeffrey Rush, he actually doesn't recognize Valjean because he goes to be the inspector in the town where Valjean is mayor, and he's like sucking up to him. And he doesn't realize until he comes out in court that I am Jean Valjean, not this guy, that is Jean Valjean. By then he's already given him the slip.
I remember that. Yeah, he has to kind of like, he kind of grovels a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, well,
there was
Javert
another
arrived in that town and kind of recognized him like, I think I know that face. I think because the cart.
Because when the cart he pushed on the cart,
I've only known one other
that can do what you have done. Yeah,
yeah. Like a memory stirs.
Make me think of a man.
Yeah. So he calls in a census of the town to take note of the key members, which was kind of a covert way of getting everyone's identification papers, everyone's bios, building a dossier on everybody in the town. Because he wanted to know, it's like, I think I know that face, but it can't be him. But I think it is. So doing that was a covert way of finding out.
And I think later on he goes back and apologizes. He's like, I'm sorry. That's where he
starts to kind of suck him up. It's like,
because I thought you were this person. I did some investigating on you. And that's when it came out that they had arrested this other guy who they thought was Jean Valjean. And like, Valjean's like, oh crap, somebody else is going to court for my...
Jeffrey Rush as Javert, and that one's like, you must fire me.
Yes.
What? I'm not going to fire you. No, you must fire me. I leveled an accusation against you, and I was false about it. I was wrong. I have failed in my jobs. You must fire me.
But he was like, no, I want to keep you because you were doing your job.
You had a hunch. You thought you had a lead on a convict, an escaped convict. You followed it. You did your job.
I'm not firing you.
Back to work, sir.
And it's funny because, like, after Valjean came out in court and, like, Javert goes to apprehend him, like, there's, a little scuffle at his house. And there's this one, I don't know if he's a chief or just another cop that Valjean was friends with. And, like, he's waiting outside Valjean's house, and Valjean comes, like, running out, like, all... because he just had this scuffle with Javert and knocked him out.
I remember that scene.
And he knocked out Javert, and he like goes out his front door, and this other cop's there. He's like, "Did you kill him?" And Valjean goes, "No, I didn't kill him." He's like, "Pity." Takes off his hat, turns around, is like, "Well, you better make it hard enough to knock me out."
Yeah, better make it a good one.
Yeah, so he like offers himself to be knocked out so he can't see where Valjean goes.
Also providing an alibi.
Sorry.
Sorry, sir, you got the drop on me.
Yeah, overpowered me. Yeah. He's like, but he's like, "Did you kill him?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Pity."
Yeah, that's Javert is so strict he's unlikable by most, even by other cops.
Yeah, I mean, he's very strict. He's made out to be the villain, but really he's
not a villain.
He's not a villain. He's just a good cop. Yeah. He's very strict in his ways of thinking and unwilling to change, but...
And that's a powerful parallel, that questioning of, is the world the way I think it is? You have those two moments. Okay, Javert's final scene, and then I love that they reused some of the phrases between when the priest buys Valjean's soul, and I am reaching, and but
I fall, the stars are black and cold. Yeah, the song that Valjean sings, there's lyrics of it in the song Javert sings.
Right, they reused a lot of the same words because both of them are going through that same moment of the world does not work the way I think it does. I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this moment. It's like, because...
It's like, wait a minute. One word from him and I would be back on the chain gang.
Yeah, the priest could have turned him in right
there. But no, he's like, made it out to be like, you left too early. I was going to give you this stuff too. And...
Would you leave the best behind?
Yeah, and all the cops that had caught him and the, angry mob, they're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, awfully sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean, since Valjean had gotten released from his sentence, he'd just been meeting, closed door after closed door after closed door, and this bishop comes along, the first, like you said, the very first person ever to be nice to him. He saves him. After Valjean wrongs him, he still saves him, and he just, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, like, how does such goodness exist in this world that has only ever been mean to me?
Right.
19 years and, barely making it as a day laborer when he was a teenager to help support his sister and her kids. 19 years in prison, gets out of there, tries to get an honest job. This piece of tin wouldn't buy my sweat. You pay me half what the other men get.
And it's all because he has to show that little piece of paper that says he's an ex-con.
Yeah. So, goes from mean evil world to even more mean evil world in jail to back into mean evil world that spits on him because he's an ex-con. And then this priest comes in and it's like, how is this priest so nice to me? I don't understand. Calls me his brother, feeds me, shelters
gives me a bed,
could have turned me in and lets me go. How? What? And so it kind of breaks him in that scene, and that's leads him to try and change his world.
It's just, he decided to reform his life, whereas Javert just couldn't take it and then decided to end his.
Yeah. So, and I guess part of that is the differences in time space, because Valjean was much younger. He was only 30-something, and at this point, both of them are like 60s. So, kind of teaching an old dog new tricks a little bit, but also who was actually the stronger man mentally.
Yeah, and so something that is in the Saint Javert scenes before he jumps off the bridge, that I should have perished by his hand. It was his right, and it was my right to die as well. So that's why it's like, what's going on? This should have happened this way. Yeah. And it didn't.
Yeah. So it's a beautifully direct parallel. The priest should have turned in Valjean, but he didn't. Valjean should have shot Javert, but he didn't. Both of them, it's like, it was my right to die there, and it was my right to go back to prison. But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
What?
Does not compute.
Does not compute. Turmoil, confusion. I don't know.
But yeah.
Is the world more merciful than I thought it was? No, it can't be.
Yeah. But, you all should just, watch this and take away your own.
And we're abridging heavily.
We are abridging heavily. And, take away your own experience from it. Because, like I said, this all started for me about hearing my brother bitching about his friend always listening to this. And it got me curious, and finding a cassette tape at Rasputin's for like 25 cents.
And then I got curious because you were watching that VHS that you still have. You'd watched it a good number of times. Like, what is this? It's like, kind of like, I'm interested in theater. What is this?
Yeah.
French. Yeah. Oh, French? Really? Oh, wow, this is good.
Yeah. It is a good, well abridged version of a very good story. And Broadway Fresno did an excellent job. Today was supposed to be the last showing of the production. Yeah, today is through today.
Yeah, June 30th. Sorry, it's closed. Sorry. It'll be long gone by the time this airs. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, we were lucky to be able to go see it.
But if it is coming, but you know what? Check your local listings. It might be coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, and other things that they're going to be doing in the next year include Jesus Christ Superstar. Apparently, they made a musical of Pretty Woman.
And Mean Girls. I think that was a movie.
I think it was too. Yeah, but
I don't know who Tina Fey is, but apparently
Tina Fey used to be on Saturday Night Live. But Aladdin. Ooh, Aladdin's got a very good stage play that is the Broadway musical. That's a really good one.
Yeah, we might go to that.
Yeah,
That's in
that's in May 1st through the 5th, and in 2024.
Broadwayinfresno.com is the website.
Yeah, I told my friend about Aladdin because she loves it, and she's like, oh, well. So who knows? See if she goes, but so yeah, they definitely put on a good show because, like I said, we saw Phantom of the Opera and then this, and it did not disappoint.
And Spamalot.
Yeah, but that wasn't put on by the same people. It was just at the
Saroyan. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we did see Spamalot at the Saroyan too, which. What I like about that theater is there's not a bad seat in the house because it's very steep.
Yeah, we were in the upper balcony, kind of towards the center, just a little left of center. And you know what? It's still, the acoustics are so well made, are so well planned out that you hear everything that happens on stage. And the stage designs are so incredible. The stage is almost a character in of itself because they do such a great job. The production values are so well done,
and the music was played by an orchestra,
live orchestra,
not a playback.
Yeah, no cassette tapes here, bucko.
The only complaint I might have had is I kind of wanted their microphones to be louder. They weren't. I don't know. I liked it to be louder because there was a lady behind us who kept talking, and it's like. It was hard to pay attention to what's going on stage when she's talking. It's like, can you turn up the volume a little bit?
Just enough to drown out this person behind us?
Yeah. Yeah. Why do people do that? If you're in a theater, a movie theater, a play theater, any type of theater where somebody is trying to watch something and pay attention, don't talk.
And these tickets aren't cheap, people.
No.
It's a couple $100 each.
No, these tickets weren't cheap. Even movie theater tickets aren't cheap. It's like, don't ruin it for the rest of the people. Write down any little, thoughts you have and discuss it on the way home. All right.
But before we get onto our rant, let's wrap up.
Yeah.
It's getting late. We're already like an hour and a half, and so.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, go see Les Mis, hear Les Mis, experience Les Mis,
not just the story,
read Les Mis, listen to the book Les Mis. It's great. Yeah.
Yes.
It's awesome. 2 thumbs up.
It's awesome. And you know what? You'll learn a lot about the history of Paris in the process.
And if you watch the 20th anniversary, you just mute the Nick Jonas parts.
Just find the Dreamcast one.
Yeah. That one's good. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Signing off.